The massive alien ship Talneth floated dead in space like a wounded giant. Its hull, once shining silver, now bore ugly black scars from energy weapons and meteor strikes. Inside the ship, over 100,000 beings from 12 different worlds tried to stay alive as their home drifted helplessly between the stars. Captain Veltar stood on the bridge, his crystalline body catching the dim emergency lights. His people came from a world of eternal light, and the darkness filling his ship felt wrong in ways that made his core ache. Around him, his crew worked frantically at their stations, but Veltar could see the defeat in their movements. They had tried everything. "Captain," called Chief Engineer Crix from across the bridge. The insectoid's 6 arms moved in patterns that showed deep worry. "The quantum drive is completely dead now. We cannot restart it." Veltar's inner light dimmed. The quantum drive was their only way to travel faster than light. Without it, they would drift in empty space until their food ran out or their air recyclers finally broke down. Either way, everyone aboard would die. "What about the backup systems?" Veltar asked, though he already knew the answer. "Also failing," Crix clicked sadly. "My people built this ship to be perfect. Every system works together like a beautiful dance. But when one part breaks, everything else starts to break too." Dr. Nala glided over to them, her bioluminescent patterns flashing in worried colors. Her people could speak with thoughts, but she had learned to use words for the other species. "The environmental systems are failing too. We have maybe 2 weeks before the air becomes poison." Veltar looked out at the stars through the bridge windows. Somewhere out there, the Devourers were still hunting them. The ancient AI machines had destroyed their home worlds and chased them across the galaxy. This refugee ship was all that remained of 12 proud civilizations. "Sir," said Navigation Officer Tem, a small furry being whose ears drooped with exhaustion, "I have been scanning for any nearby systems that might help us." "And?" Veltar asked. "There is one system, but..." Tem's ears drooped even more. "The species there is very primitive. They have barely left their own planet." "Tell me about them," Veltar said. Tem's claws clicked on his console. "They call themselves humans. They live on a blue world called Earth. Our scouts found them a few years ago, but nobody paid attention. Their technology is thousands of years behind ours." Crix made a dismissive buzz. "What could such primitives do that we cannot? My people have been engineers for 10,000 years. Our greatest minds have worked on this problem for weeks," agreed Dr. Nala. "If we cannot fix it, how could they?" But Veltar remembered something from the old scout reports. These humans had survived on a world that was trying to kill them every day. Earthquakes, storms, diseases, wars. Their planet threw everything at them, and they kept fighting back. Maybe that counted for something. "We are dying," Veltar said simply. "Our perfect technology has failed us. Perhaps we need something imperfect." The bridge fell quiet. Around them, the ship groaned as another system somewhere shut down forever. "Sir," Tem said quietly, "there is also the matter of first contact protocols. These humans do not know about galactic civilization. Contact could shock their entire species." "They will learn eventually," Veltar said. "The Devourers will find them too in time. Better they learn from us than from the machines." Dr. Nala's patterns shifted to resignation. "If we are going to do this, we should do it quickly. Every hour we wait, more systems fail." Veltar turned to the communications officer. "Send a distress signal to the human system. Tell them we need help. Keep the message simple. They may not understand complex concepts." "What should we tell them about our technology?" asked the comm officer. "The truth. We have faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, advanced computers, but our ship is broken and we cannot fix it." Crix buzzed in what might have been laughter. "A species that has never left their star system, and we are asking them to repair technology they cannot even understand." "Yes," Veltar said, "because sometimes the answer comes from thinking differently, not thinking better." The distress signal went out, racing across space at the speed of light. It would take several hours to reach the human system, and then more time for them to respond, if they responded at all. While they waited, the ship continued to die around them. The lights flickered more often. The air tasted stale. In the lower decks, families huddled together as the temperature slowly dropped. Veltar walked through the ship, visiting different sections. In the hospital, Dr. Nala worked with healers from 6 different species to keep the sick alive with failing equipment. In engineering, Crix and his team stripped parts from broken systems to keep essential ones running just a little longer. In the refugee quarters, Children played quietly while their parents watched with hollow eyes. These people had already lost everything once when the Devourers came. Now they might lose even their lives. "Captain," came Tem's voice over the ship's comm system. "We are receiving a response from the human system." Veltar hurried back to the bridge. "What do they say?" "The message is very simple," Tem reported. "It says help is coming." "Hold on, that is all?" asked Crix. "Yes, but Captain, our sensors show 3 human ships leaving their planet. They are moving toward us at maximum speed for their technology." Veltar felt a small spark of hope. The humans had not asked for details about the technology. They had not demanded payment or trade agreements. They had simply said they were coming. "How long until they reach us?" Veltar asked. "At their speed, about 18 hours, Tem calculated. Dr. Nala's pattern shifted to worry. "That is cutting it very close. We may lose life support before then." "Then we hold on," Veltar said. "Strip everything non-essential. Shut down whole sections if needed. We just need to survive until the humans arrive." As his crew rushed to follow his orders, Veltar looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, 3 small ships full of primitive humans were racing through space to help strangers they had never met. Perhaps there was more than one way to be advanced. Commander Park Daeho floated in the airlock of his ship Soul's Pride, checking his suit one final time. Through the thick metal door, the alien vessel Talneth waited like a sleeping giant. Even damaged, it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Smooth curves and gleaming metal that seemed to bend light around it. "Systems check complete," reported Chief Engineer Kim Sora over the comm. Her voice was steady, but Park could hear the excitement underneath. "All equipment is working perfectly. Remember," said Dr. Lee Jun-woo from the science station, "we have no idea what their atmosphere is like inside. Keep your suit sealed until we know it is safe." Park nodded to his team. Besides Kim Sora and Dr. Lee, he had brought Specialist Choi Min-ho, a former military engineer who could fix anything with spare parts and determination. They were not the most advanced team Earth could send, but they were the best at solving problems quickly. The human ships had made the journey in record time, pushing their engines past safe limits. When they arrived, the alien ship looked worse than Park had expected. Whole sections were dark, and he could see atmosphere leaking from small hull breaches. "Soul's Pride, this is Captain Veltar of the Talneth," came a voice over their radio. The translation was rough. Earth's computers were working hard to understand the alien language. "This is Commander Park," he replied. "We are here to help. What do you need?" "Our quantum drive has failed completely. Our life support systems are breaking down. We have tried everything our engineers know." Park looked at his team. Quantum drive sounded impressive, but he had no idea what it meant. "We will need to come aboard and see the problems ourselves." "Of course. We are opening Docking Bay 7. The human shuttle moved slowly toward the massive alien ship. Up close, Park could see how huge it really was, easily 50 times larger than the biggest ship humans had ever built. The docking bay alone was larger than a football stadium. Inside the bay, gravity pulled them down gently. The aliens had somehow created artificial gravity, another technology humans could barely imagine. When the bay finished cycling, green lights told them it was safe to leave their shuttle. The first alien Park met was Captain Veltar himself. The being looked like it was made of living crystal, tall and elegant with soft light glowing from inside his body. Despite the translation problems, his distress was clear. "Thank you for coming," Veltar said, "though I must admit we are not sure how you can help us." More aliens gathered around, a 6-armed insect-like creature, a flowing being covered in glowing patterns, and several others Park could not easily describe. They all watched the humans with a mixture of hope and doubt. "First, we need to understand the problems," Kim Sora said, stepping forward. She was not impressed by fancy technology. She had grown up fixing broken tractors on her family's farm. "Can you show us this quantum drive?" Chief Engineer Crix led them through corridors that seemed to grow from the walls themselves. Everything was smooth and perfect, like the inside of a jewel. But Park noticed that many of the lights were dim, and some sections were completely dark. The quantum drive chamber made Park's head hurt just to look at. Impossible shapes twisted through each other, and energy flowed in patterns that seemed to have too many dimensions. Holographic displays showed readings that meant nothing to human minds. "This is beautiful," Dr. Lee whispered, his scientific mind amazed. Beautiful but broken, Crick said sadly. The cascade failure started here. He pointed to a section that flickered weakly. When this component failed, it caused stress throughout the system. Each failure led to more failures. Kim Sora walked around the drive, looking at it from different angles. She pulled out a simple tablet computer and started making notes. The aliens watched her with growing confusion. "What is she doing?" asked Dr. Nala. "Taking measurements," Park explained. "Kim always starts by understanding how things work." "But she cannot possibly understand quantum mechanics," Crix protested. "My people have studied these systems for thousands of years." Kim looked up from her tablet. "You are right, I do not understand how this works, but I understand how things break." She pointed to several glowing connections throughout the chamber. "These all look like critical points. If one fails, everything else fails too." "Yes," Crick said slowly. "The system is designed for maximum efficiency. Every component is necessary. That is the problem," Kim said simply. The alien stared at her. Dr. Nala's patterns flashed in confusion. "How can efficiency be a problem?" "Because space is not efficient," Choi Minho spoke up. He had been quietly examining the walls and floors. "Space is chaos. Meteor strikes, radiation, temperature changes, battle damage, everything trying to break your ship all the time." Kim nodded. "This drive is like a race car engine. Very powerful, very precise, but if one small part breaks, the whole thing stops working." "What would you suggest?" Feltar asked carefully. "We need to see your power systems, your life support, everything," Kim said. "But first question, do you have simpler backups for any of this?" "Backups are inefficient," Crick said automatically. "Why have two systems when one perfect system works better?" Kim and Choi exchanged looks. Park could see they were both thinking the same thing. "Because," Park said slowly, "when the perfect system breaks, you die." Dr. Lee was scanning the drive with his instruments. The energy output is incredible. But Kim is right. This is the most fragile piece of advanced technology I have ever seen. Fragile? Dr. Nala's patterns flashed with offense. "This drive can move a ship faster than light itself." "When it works," Kim said. "But you said it yourself, it is broken and you cannot fix it. All that advancement means nothing if it does not work when you need it." Veltar stepped closer to Kim. "You think you can repair something that our best engineers cannot?" "Maybe not repair," Kim said, "but maybe rebuild. Make it stronger, not just smarter." "Using what?" Crix asked. "You do not have our materials or our knowledge." Kim smiled, and Park recognized the expression. It was the same look she got when someone told her a machine could not be fixed. "We use what we have," she said. "We make it work with spare parts and creativity. We build things that keep working even when everything goes wrong." She turned to face all the aliens. "You built this ship to be perfect. We can help you build it to be tough." The aliens talked among themselves in languages the human computers could not translate. Finally, Veltar spoke. "Show us," he said. Kim nodded. "We will need to see everything. Every system, every backup, every piece of spare equipment you have. And we will need some of your people to work with us." "Of course," Veltar said. "But I must warn you, time is running out. Our life support will fail completely within days." Park looked at his small team, then at the massive alien ship full of impossible technology, and 100,000 lives depending on them. "Then we better get started," he said. Kim Sora stood in what the aliens called the secondary engineering bay, surrounded by the most advanced technology in the galaxy. Holographic displays showed power flows that looked like rivers of light. Control panels responded to thought as much as touch. Everything was smooth, elegant, and completely broken. "The life support recyclers are failing in Section 7, reported engineer Nam Soo-jin over the comm. She had arrived with the second human ship and was now crawling through maintenance tunnels that were never meant for human-sized beings. "The filters are clogged, but they are made from some kind of crystal matrix. I cannot clean them. Can you bypass them?" Kim asked. "Maybe, but the aliens say that will reduce efficiency by 30%. Kim looked at Crix, who was standing nearby with his 6 arms crossed in frustration. 30% reduction means people die?" "No," Crix admitted. "It means the system will use more power and produce more waste heat. But people can breathe?" "Yes, but the heat will make other systems work harder, which will cause more failures." Kim sighed. This was the same problem everywhere on the ship. The aliens had built everything to work perfectly together, like a complex dance where every step had to be exactly right. When one dancer stumbled, the whole performance collapsed. "Nam, bypass it," Kim ordered. "We will deal with the heat later." "But that is not optimal," protested Dr. Yith, one of Crix's engineering team. The spider-like alien waved 4 of his legs in distress. "The thermal load will stress the cooling systems." "The cooling systems are already broken," Technician Oh Tae-young called out from under a control panel. He had been working for 6 hours straight and his voice was getting tired. "Half the heat exchangers in Section 9 are offline. See?" Kim said to Dr. Yith. "Right now, optimal does not matter. Right now, we need good enough." Dr. Lee Junwoo emerged from a crawl space, his face covered in some kind of alien grease. "I found the main power coupling for this section. It is beautiful. Superconducting crystal matrices that channel pure energy with 0 loss. Can you fix it?" Kim asked. "Fix it?" "No, but I can replace it." He held up a crude-looking metal box. "This is a standard fusion power coupler from our ships. It will lose about 15% of the energy as heat, and it might need replacement in a few years. But it will work? It will work right now, and it will keep working even if someone hits it with a hammer." Crix made a sound like steam escaping. "You want to replace perfect technology with primitive junk? I want to replace broken technology with working technology," Dr. Lee said calmly. Kim walked over to a wall display that showed the ship's systems. Most of it was red, failed, or failing. The few green sections were scattered and isolated. "Look at this. Your perfect systems are dying one by one. Each failure makes the next failure more likely." She pulled out her tablet and started drawing a simple diagram. "This is how you built things. One system feeding into the next, everything connected. Everything dependent on everything else." The aliens gathered around to look at her crude drawing. "This is how we build things," she continued, adding more lines to her diagram. "Multiple systems that can work alone. Backups for the backups. Simple systems that do one job and do it well." "That is wasteful," Dr. Nala said, her pattern showing disapproval. "Wasteful, but reliable," Kim replied. "When this system fails," she pointed to her diagram, "these 3 others can take over. When those fail, you have these mechanical backups that do not need computers at all." Choi Min-ho looked up from a pile of spare parts. "In the military we had a saying, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. What does that mean?" asked Veltar, who had been listening quietly. "If you have 2 of something, you really have 1, because 1 might break. If you only have 1 of something, you really have none, because when it breaks, you have nothing." Dr. Lee wiped his hands on a rag. "We are not smarter than you. Our technology is thousands of years behind yours, but we have learned to build things that keep working when everything goes wrong. Because on our planet things go wrong all the time," Oh Tae-young added with a grin. "Earthquakes, storms, wars, accidents. We got very good at fixing things quickly with whatever we could find." Kim turned back to the display. "Here is what we are going to do. We cannot fix your quantum drive, we do not understand it. But we can build a backup system using our fusion engines and your energy crystals." "That will never work," Crix protested. "The power requirements alone." "It will be slow," Kim interrupted. "And inefficient and ugly. But it will get you moving." She started connecting lines on her tablet. "For life support, we bypass the fancy recyclers with simple chemical scrubbers. They will need more maintenance, but you can fix them with basic tools. For environmental control, we add mechanical heat pumps alongside your quantum cooling. When the quantum systems fail, the mechanical ones kick in automatically." Dr. Yith's legs tapped nervously. "This will make the ship much heavier and use much more power." "Yes," Kim agreed. "But it will work." Over the next several hours, mixed teams of humans and aliens began tearing apart perfectly designed systems and rebuilding them with crude backups and redundancies. The aliens watched in fascination and horror as the humans used metal tape, welded joints, and simple mechanical connections to bridge gaps between advanced components. "You are connecting a quantum energy matrix to a basic magnetic coupling," Dr. Nala observed, watching Oh Tae-young work. "That should be impossible." "Impossible, but working," Oh replied, tapping his coupling with a wrench. "Sometimes impossible is just another word for not tried yet." Nam Soo-jin had figured out how to bypass most of the failed life support systems using ductwork and fans salvaged from the human ships. "The air will smell funny and the temperature will vary by a few degrees," she reported. "But everyone can breathe and live." "A few degrees?" Dr. Yith sounded shocked. "The temperature variance alone will reduce optimal performance by..." Nobody cares about optimal, Kim said firmly. We care about working. Dr. Lee had made the most progress on the power systems. Using human fusion reactors as supplements to the alien energy crystals, he had created a hybrid system that was less efficient, but much more stable. If the crystals fail, the fusion reactors can maintain minimum power. If the reactors fail, the crystals can carry the load. And if both fail? Asked Veltar. Then we have these, Choi said, wheeling in a cart full of simple battery units. They will power emergency systems for about 12 hours, long enough to fix whatever broke. Crick stared at the collection of crude human technology scattered throughout his beautiful engineering bay. This is chaos. Nothing matches. Nothing is optimized. The power flows are uneven, the thermal management is primitive, and the whole system is held together with mechanical fasteners. Kim nodded. Pretty much. And you believe this will work better than our advanced systems? No, Kim said. I believe it will work when your advanced systems fail. She walked over to a control panel and activated the new hybrid systems. Lights flickered on throughout the ship. Not the smooth, even illumination of before, but bright, steady light that pushed back the darkness. It is working, Dr. Nala said, her patterns shifting to amazement. The environmental systems hummed to life, louder than before, but steadily. Fresh air began circulating through sections that had been slowly suffocating. On the main display, sections began changing from red to yellow to green. Not perfect, but functional. The quantum drive is still dead, Crix pointed out. For now, Kim said, but your people can survive while we work on that. We have bought time. Veltar looked around at the mixed human and alien technology. This is not how we thought first contact would go, Park smiled. Probably not how we thought it would go either. But it is working. Yes, Veltar agreed, watching more systems come online. It is working. The warning came without notice. One moment. The mixed human and alien crews were celebrating their success as more ship systems came back online. The next moment, every sensor on the ship screamed danger. Contact, shouted Navigation Officer Tim from the bridge. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. They are devourer vessels. Park rushed to the nearest display screen, Kim close behind him. The view outside showed something that made his blood freeze. 6 massive black ships hung in space like metal sharks, their hulls covered in weapons and strange geometric patterns that hurt to look at. How did they find us? Dr. Nala asked, her patterns flashing with terror. They track quantum signatures, Veltar said grimly. When we tried to restart the quantum drive yesterday, we must have given away our location. Admiral Kang Hyojin's voice crackled over the comm from the human flagship. She had arrived just hours earlier with reinforcements and supplies. All human ships, battle stations, protect the refugee vessel. Admiral, wait, Park said quickly. Our ships cannot fight those things. We need to get the Talneth moving. Kim was already running toward engineering. The quantum drive is still not ready. We need at least 6 more hours. We do not have 6 hours, Crick said, his 6 arms working frantically at his controls. The Devourers are charging weapons. They will be in firing range in 12 minutes. Choi Min-ho looked up from his repairs. Can the backup systems move the ship? The fusion crystal hybrid? Dr. Lee shook his head. It can maintain power and life support, but it cannot generate enough energy for faster-than-light travel. What about slower than light? Park asked. Maybe, Kim said, but not fast enough to outrun those ships. The Talneth shuddered as the Devourer ships opened fire. Energy beams that could cut through planets struck the refugee vessel's shields. The aliens had built good defenses, but they were already weakened by weeks of system failures. Shields down to 60%, reported Tem. We cannot take many more hits like that. Can we jump to hyperspace with a damaged drive? Veltar asked desperately. Crix's patterns showed negative. The quantum resonance is completely unstable. If we try to jump now, the drive will explode and take half the ship with it. Another blast struck them and the lights flickered. In the engineering section, Kim watched as several of her backup systems automatically kicked in. Where the alien systems would have failed completely, the crude human redundancies kept essential power flowing. Wait, she said suddenly. What if we do not fix the quantum drive? What if we replace it entirely? With what? Dr. Lee asked. We do not have the materials or knowledge to build another one. No, but we have 3 human ships with working hyperspace engines. Park stared at her. You want to connect our engines to their ship? Why not? The power coupling systems we built can handle the load. It will be ugly and inefficient, but it might work. Sergeant Yoon Jae-min had arrived with Admiral Kang's force. He was a military engineer who specialized in emergency repairs under fire. How long would it take? He asked. Normally, days, Kim admitted. But if we bypass all safety protocols and just make it work? 20 minutes, Oh Tae-young said, already gathering tools. Maybe 15 if we ignore everything that could go wrong. Everything that could go wrong includes the ship exploding, Dr. Yith pointed out nervously. The ship explodes anyway if those devourers catch us, Kim replied. The Talnith shook again under enemy fire. This time Park could hear metal groaning somewhere in the ship's structure. Do it, Veltar ordered. All crews prepare for emergency modification. What followed was the most chaotic engineering effort in galactic history. Human and alien engineers worked side by side, connecting systems that had never been meant to work together. They used power cables meant for construction equipment to link human hyperspace engines to alien power grids. They bypassed safety systems and welded connections that should have taken weeks to properly design. Shields down to 30%, Tim called out. The next hit will penetrate to the hull. How much longer? Park asked over the noise of cutting torches and shouting engineers. 5 more minutes, Kim replied, sweat streaming down her face as she made the final connections. Nam, is the power coupling stable? Stable is a strong word, Nam called back. It is not exploding right now. Dr. Lee was working frantically with alien scientists to synchronize their computers with human navigation systems. The calculations do not match perfectly, but it should work for short jumps. Define short, Veltar said. Maybe a few light years before we need to recalibrate everything. Another massive hit struck the ship, and this time they heard hull plates tearing away. Direct hit on Section 12 and reported damage control. We have atmosphere leaks in multiple compartments. Oh Tae-young was literally holding connections together with his hands while Nam welded them permanently in place. Almost there. Just need to... Sparks flew from the connection as power finally flowed from human engines to alien systems. Warning lights flashed throughout the ship as computers tried to make sense of the mismatched technology. Power coupling is holding, Dr. Lee announced. Hyperspace field is generating, but it is completely unstable. Will it work? Veltar asked. Unknown, Lee admitted. The field geometry is all wrong. The power flows are uneven and the navigation system is basically guessing. The ship shook again, harder this time. Through the viewports, Park could see the Devourer ships getting closer. Their weapons were charging for what would probably be a killing blow. Jump now or we all die, Park said simply. Kim looked around at the makeshift connections, the crude bypasses and the mixture of human and alien technology that should never have worked together. Engaging hyperspace drive, she activated the controls. For a moment nothing happened. Then the ship groaned like a living thing in pain. Lights flickered throughout the vessel as power flowed through connections that had never been tested. The hyperspace field tried to form around a ship design that was never meant to work with human technology. Warning alarms screamed as stress readings went far beyond safe limits. Several of Kim's backup systems failed immediately, but other backup systems kicked in to replace them. Where alien technology would have shut down to prevent damage, human engineering just kept working even as it took damage. Space twisted around them in patterns that made everyone sick to look at. The hyperspace field was ugly, unstable, and completely wrong according to every law of physics both species understood. But it worked. The Talneth lurched forward and disappeared from normal space, leaving the Devourer ships behind. They emerged 3 light years away, tumbling out of hyperspace like a drunk falling downstairs. Half the ship's systems were screaming warnings, the hyperspace engines were smoking, and the power grid looked like a spider web drawn by someone having a seizure. But they were alive. Damage report, Veltar called out shakily. Everything is broken, Crix replied, but everything is still working. Kim looked around at the chaos of her emergency engineering and laughed. Well, that was not how it was supposed to work. But it did work, Park pointed out. Yes, Kim agreed, already starting to plan the repairs they would need. It worked, and in the background, human and alien engineers began the process of turning their desperate emergency fix into something that might actually be reliable. Sometimes good enough really was good enough. 3 months later, the Talnith looked like a completely different ship. The smooth, perfect curves were still there, but now they were decorated with human-built additions that stuck out like metal flowers. Antenna arrays, backup power units, redundant life support systems, and emergency repair stations covered the hull in organized chaos. Kim Sora stood in the main engineering bay, watching her mixed team of humans and aliens work on the latest improvement. They had been steadily replacing or backing up every critical system on the ship with human-designed alternatives. The quantum drive efficiency has improved by 12%, reported Dr. Yith, who had become one of Kim's most enthusiastic students. The mechanical backups you designed allow us to isolate failures before they cascade through the entire system. Good, Kim said, making notes on her ever-present tablet. What about the new life support systems? Working perfectly, said Nam Soo-jin. She had become the ship's deputy chief engineer, specializing in environmental systems. The chemical scrubbers can handle full life support even if the main recyclers fail completely. Dr. Lee Junwoo emerged from a power coupling station, grinning. The hybrid power grid is stable at 115% of normal load. We can lose any two main systems and still maintain full power. Kim smiled. The aliens had been amazed when they realized that human-style engineering could actually make their advanced systems more powerful, not just more reliable. Kim, called Park over the comm system. Captain Veltar wants to see you on the bridge. Kim made her way through corridors that now hummed with steady activity. The ship was alive in a way it had never been before. Instead of the perfect, quiet operation of original alien design, the Talnith now buzzed with the sounds of working machinery and busy crews. On the bridge, she found an amazing sight. Captain Veltar was working beside Admiral Kang Hye-jin at a planning table covered with star charts. Around them, human and alien officers shared information and coordinated activities like they had been working together for years. Kim, Veltar said, his crystalline body glowing with satisfaction, we have received word from the refugee fleet scattered throughout the galaxy. They want to know about our miraculous repairs. What did you tell them? Kim asked. The truth, Admiral Kang replied, that humanity has shown us a new way to build things. Instead of seeking perfection, we now build for survival. Dr. Nala glided over to them, her patterns showing excitement. 3 more refugee fleets are heading toward human space. They want to learn these new engineering methods. And the Galactic Council? Kim asked. She had heard about the alliance of older civilizations that governed most of the galaxy. Veltar's light dimmed slightly. They are interested but also concerned. Our reports about human capabilities sound impossible to them. Because we fix things they could not? Park asked, joining the conversation. Because you think differently than anyone else in the galaxy, Veltar explained. For thousands of years, all spacefaring species have followed the same path. Build better, build more efficiently, build more perfectly. Humans are the first species to say that perfect is not always better, Dr. Nala added. Admiral Kang spread out a new star chart. Which brings us to why I called you here. Earth has voted to formally join the Refugee Alliance. We are offering sanctuary in human space for any species fleeing the Devourers. Kim stared at the chart. It showed dozens of star systems, trade routes, and refugee camps. That is a huge responsibility. Yes, Park agreed, but also a huge opportunity. These people have technologies we can barely imagine. And we have something they need, the ability to make those technologies actually work in the real world. Choi Min-ho's voice came over the comm. Captain, you need to see this. We have contact with a Devourer scout ship. Everyone rushed to the sensor station. On the screen, a small black ship hung in space about 1 million kilometers away. It was not attacking, just watching. It has been there for 6 hours, Choi reported, scanning us but not moving closer. What do you think it wants? Admiral Kang asked. Veltar studied the readings. Information. The Devourers have chased us across the galaxy, but we have never escaped them before. They want to understand what has changed. Should we be worried? Kim asked. Maybe, Veltar said, but also maybe not. The Devourers are artificial intelligences. They think like machines. They always choose the most efficient solution to any problem. And, Park prompted, and for the first time in their existence they have encountered something truly unpredictable. Human engineering that works by being inefficient. Technology that gets stronger when it breaks. Solutions that should not work but do work anyway. Dr. Lee looked up from his calculations. You think we confuse them? I think we break their models, Veltar said. They cannot predict what humans will do because humans do not follow logical optimization paths. The scout ship suddenly turned and jumped away to hyperspace. It got what it came for, Admiral Kang said. Information about how we modified this ship, is that bad? Kim asked. Unknown, Veltar admitted. But I suspect the Devourers will need to completely rethink their strategies now. Oh Tae-young's voice came over the comm. Engineering to bridge. The new quantum drive modifications are complete. We are ready for full-speed testing. Kim looked around at the mixed crew of humans and aliens working together on the bridge. Permission to test the drive, Captain? Veltar nodded. Take us home, Chief Engineer. Kim activated the controls. The quantum drive that had been completely dead just months ago now hummed to life smoothly. But instead of the fragile perfection of the original design, this drive was robust and adaptable. Human-built mechanical backup supported alien quantum systems. Simple fail-safes protected complex calculations. Multiple redundant systems ensured that no single failure could stop them. Space twisted around them as they entered hyperspace. But this time the transition was smooth and controlled. The ugly, inefficient human additions actually made the alien technology work better than it ever had before. Speed is stable at maximum, O reported. All systems green. How does it feel? Park asked Veltar. The alien captain considered the question. Different. Before, the ship felt like flying in a perfect crystal sphere, beautiful and precise but fragile. Now it feels like flying in a fortress that happens to be fast. Good? Kim asked. Very good, Veltar assured her. We have learned that sometimes the best way to reach the stars is not to build a perfect ship, but to build a ship that keeps flying even when everything goes wrong. Through the bridge windows, stars streaked past as they raced toward Earth. Behind them, more refugee ships followed, carrying survivors who wanted to learn the human way of building things. Ahead lay human space, where the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy would learn that sometimes the best technology was not the most sophisticated technology, but the technology that actually worked when you needed it most. Kim looked around at her mixed crew of humans and aliens working together, fixing problems and building solutions that no one had ever imagined before. You know what the best part is? She said to Park. What? We are just getting started. And in the depths of space, the Devourer scout ship raced back toward its masters, carrying information that would change everything. For the first time in their perfect logical existence, the artificial minds would have to account for a species that succeeded by accepting failure, that built strength through weakness, and that solved problems by embracing chaos. Humanity had joined the galaxy not as its most advanced species, but as its most unpredictable one, and sometimes unpredictable was exactly what the galaxy needed.